So here we are in Lapland, Finland for a very last minute Arctic camping adventure with Dad. Basically, we flew over from the plane, we had some great northern lights, and as soon as we landed, we got picked up and dropped off by a local who dropped us off with some sleds, and as soon as we had those, we started walking into the night. So after a while, we encountered a shelter where we decided to make a little fire to have some dinner. At this point, it was getting quite late already. And then we also ended up camping there without a tent, so we slept in the open shelter, and at night it got about to -25. Here you also see us melting some snow, and it takes about 10 pots of snow to make 1 pot of water for soup. Together with the soup, we made some bacon and some bread, and then we obviously had a lovely dinner. So the next morning, after a great night's sleep, I made another fire to warm up and make some breakfast by. And as the fire was growing, I took some logs and turned them into kindle wood, which we would then take to the next campsite that we would go. So while drinking coffee, I warmed up my feet by the fire, and then whatever water was left, I threw up in the sky and it evaporated instantly, which was pretty cool to see. Here we are back on the road, enjoying a couple hours of ambient light that we had during polar night. So the sun never actually rose, but yeah, this is the view that we had for about half of the day. So inside the sleds, we have all of the camping stuff, a saw, an axe, some spare clothes, etc, etc. Quite quickly, the ambient light reduced and we had to switch over to headlights. As was the case with most meals, we ended up cooking on an open fire and we had some soup with bread, both freshly made. After lunch, we walked off into the darkness, got treated to some great northern lights, and we found a frozen little mouse. At this point, it had warmed up a bit. It was -23. As you can see, there's still ice everywhere. And the problem here was that my contact lenses kept freezing and that my eyelashes kept getting stuck together. So when we crossed the bridge, we noticed one directional tracks into a hole in the ice, but nothing left. So we assumed that an animal died in there, which is sad. And this is what we ended up looking like at that point. And here we have a picture of the campsite that we set up in the evening and the next morning. And soon after, we got on the road again and started walking. So we walked and walked and walked with the sleds. Here we have my dad. And the only downside is that while walking, we encountered less and less deadwood. So it was harder to make fires and harder to warm up. As you can imagine, in -27, a bit of warmth is not just a luxury, so we ended up calling quits and heading into the center, where we booked an apartment, dried everything, and defrosted all the camera equipment.